There it is.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap on 60 minutes of tempo training. Breakdown coming soon.
Yep.
What's up, guys? I'm Stu, better known as Stu Brauer with WTF Gym Talk. Came down and shot my Shoot the Shit podcast with Marcus Philly today. Long form conversation. We had a great one. And now we're switching over to my other alter ego. I also create content around the fitness I do now, and I do a lot of what's called like tempo training, and essentially my own style and recipe of including tempo into these mixed modal strength and conditioning workouts. And Marcus was cool enough to join me in one today. So here's what we'll be doing today. So we're gonna go for 60 minutes. So I like these to be real aerobic based workouts with just bouts of some intensity. We're gonna start off on an erg, any erg we want, any conditioning modality for 90 seconds. Every time you come back to the erg, we're gonna add 30 seconds of duration to it. I use a 1 to 3 kind of RPE, rate of perceived exertion scale. So I've got this at like a 2 to 2.5, something that should have the heart rate high enough to keep the intensity, because whenever you add tempo to movements, we're slowing down. So if I want to dial up and get a little anaerobic dose, this is where it'll happen. We're gonna knock out 8 Henny press. So 8 Henny press right in here. We'll be going heavy. We're gonna do a 3-second down tempo and a 2-second hold at the bottom. We'll do 10 Arnold hang power clean to overhead. So it's just kind of a bastardized version of an Arnold press that will be hang power cleaning up, receiving in that Arnold press position, and then go into our traditional overhead Arnold press. We'll do some sled pushing. We'll be doing some alternating deficit dumbbell lunges, and then some strict toes to rings as well. But yeah, just gonna throw around and hang out with Marcus Philly and, sweat and get a little movement in before I gotta go to the airport.
Let's get it.
I like to go ahead and get started so that when I walk her out, we're gonna be starting like somewhere in the midsection here, and we can adjust the height as necessary. But I'm here, nice and tight. I'm gonna up and through, and then down in 1, 2, 3, tracking those elbows in, let it get all the way back to the sternum, pause for 2, explosively back out. Great. I know, we were going for a while. I love that.
It's nice. You know what that's like? It's kind of like pressing a landmine. I talk about like landmines being this like, there's a fixed position, but you have freedom of range of motion, and then you can really like lean into, shoulder flexion, and that's like just so valuable for people who have bad range of motion or really stuck with immobility. Like you can get in there, get overhead without really having to support all the weight. I like it.
So this pause will be, so we'll go boom, and then overhead for 3. No set tempo on the way down, but nice and steady. Okay. So 3 overhead. So in 3, and I'm gonna stop with just my knee just hovering, not letting it fully rest for 2 seconds. Explode off that lead foot, stand through, get rock solid, down in 1, 2, 3, hold for 1, 2, explode up, alternating back and forth. For hanging, nice and steady, up, down in 1, 2, 3, hold for 1, 2, 3, back under would be 1, same thing, 3 seconds to the L, a 3-second L hold, and then back down. Those we're just doing 8, I think.
It's a lot.
Well, it's gonna be
These are hard.
Where the combo comes, tempo training. Sled pushing has become a new revived favorite, and guys like Ben Patrick, had the marketing genius to get it on the, the forefront in the Joe Rogan podcast and create a brand around it. But this is shit like Dave Tate, Louis Simmons, Poliquin, a lot of other guys talked about it before then, and maybe if someone had taught Charles, Instagram Reels, or Louis would have had a robust YouTube channel, the message might have gotten out there. But hats off to guys like Ben that have revived and repopularized something that's not new, but it's still just as potent as it was when it first came to the forefront. They're probably gonna be able to move more weight, honestly, than I think they probably anticipate, but still, don't let that trick you into going too heavy. But like anything else, own the position. If you gotta bounce it off your sternum to get it up, or you're locked out and you're bringing it down immediately, stay at a load until you can I generally wanna see like 6 seconds of time under tension. So can you hold it for 2, lower it in 2 to 3, hold it for 2, so about 6, 7 seconds per rep. That means you own and can command the movement. So when people lunge, a lot of times we see them bounce that knee off the ground, and they might even, go as far as to wear knee sleeves when they do it, so they have that neoprene, force field, so they don't feel any pain. But I like to get to the very bottom and get that knee just off the ground and hold and stand tall. Even when I'm doing a regular lunge, can I own that bottom position and be strong down there? Because the hardest part of a lunge, just like a squat, it's the fucking bottom. Power tempo. So I think you just got to look at it like a global perspective. If everything we've been doing in like the group functional fitness, CrossFit like space has been as fast as possible, that means we got a lot of neglect on just spending time in the areas that suck. And that's like, that's a metaphor for a lot more than just fitness. Spend time in the uncomfortable positions that suck the most. Right? You hate whatever you hate doing in business or life, but you have to do it anyway. Spend more time there, develop some time under tension, some resiliency, and we all know what happens then. Good things happen. But yeah, this will keep you safer, better structural strength, because we rush through shit so long, and it'll actually give you appreciation. The kid who deadlifts 315 touch and go with the flip grip can't really deadlift 315 with tempo. Like, he's gonna have to reduce the weight. He's using gravity, the bounce, the flip grip mechanism, but tempo kind of corrects a lot of that.
Had a deep appreciation for tempo training for a long time. I'm not opposed to moving fast, but if you can't do it slowly, then you've got a recipe for disaster. It's like, at the exclusion of moving with control, you should not do fast movements. If you're doing both concurrently, you're building up the strength needed, required to do it fast, then that's okay. Hopefully you guys are all hearing all the similarities between what Stu has been talking about and what I'm talking about with functional bodybuilding. And you know where that comes from? That comes from a decade of training people in the functional fitness space, where we saw hundreds, thousands of people have the same challenges. So we went in our own ways and started solving problems. Admittedly, this is not Stu's core business. He is helping coaches, gym owners, business owners. I'm helping athletes on a day-to-day basis, but we both have seen many of the same problems with regards to training and business, and we're just helping people in our own ways. It's pretty rad. Stu Brauer here, coming in from Charlotte, North Carolina to podcast and to work out. And I don't get a chance to be the student very often, so this was an opportunity. I said, Stu, write the workout. Let's do one of your tempo training 60-minute deals. And I have a lot of thoughts on it, but I'm gonna let Stu kind of just give the general concept, and then like what was fun about today specifically. What did you have in mind for me?
Yeah, you know, in summary, every time I go, I like to work out for longer durations at a little bit slower pace. The days of slam bam, thank you ma'am for me are long over. I joke around, when I did CrossFit, it was like constantly training like a Ferrari. Now I'm like a Cadillac. I got white walls and I go like 12, 15 miles an hour, just slow and steady. And that's what kind of today's was. I always try to mix in an upper body, a lower, a midline, and a monostructural conditioning piece. Marcus was nice enough to let me throw all of it together in my little crock pot, and I shot him over a text at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. this morning and said, hey man, this is what we're doing. And he was down, and we had no shortage of toys, got to bring some other stuff in that even Marcus hasn't really played around with a lot, with the Henny straps, and it was a lot of fun.
I've seen Stuart write a bunch of these workouts. He posts them on his Instagram channel, Respect the Tempo. That's correct. At Respect the Tempo. And I see them, and like I watch him go through it, and it's always one thing to like see a prescription on paper on a computer screen and just sort of imagine, oh, this is what it might feel like, and then to get in the gym and do it just adds a whole nother layer of understanding and knowledge. So that's why I tell coaches, when you're coaching, don't prescribe something that you haven't done. Even if you're not like trying to be an Olympic weightlifter, like go and experience a weightlifting cycle, so that when you train somebody in weightlifting, if you're coaching a training block with somebody and they want to do snatches, like you know a little bit about what you're doing, and you can feel it on the inside as the keys are getting punched when you write the workout. So today, this was like such a great learning experience for me. I got to the end of this and I'm like, I am absolutely stealing concepts out of this. This is the language we use is like aerobic bodybuilding. That's a functional bodybuilding conditioning format where it's slow, steady, take breaks, and do typically more like isolation, bodybuilding movements.
Yeah.
But the combination of building in some heavy strength elements or things that are going to challenge your nervous system to like really dig for those extra muscle fibers to like contract as hard as you can. That was a really unique stimulus, and something that I think could blend really well in like an aerobic bodybuilding format, to put one heavier lift or a really challenging gymnastics movement like this is, a strict toes to ring is moderate. A strict toes to ring with a 3-second eccentric and a 3-second pause in the L, that's advanced for the vast majority of people. And that made me work a ton, and I had to scale it, regress it about halfway through the workout, just so I could keep feeling like I had good mechanics and good control. So I love that just experience of going through it and taking what I've seen on paper and actually putting it into practice.
Yeah, and for anyone, again, whether you follow him casually or you follow a program, the one thing you always want to see in your teacher, your coach, your mentor, whatever it is, that they're constantly willing to learn and mess around with other stuff and take in different stimuli outside their own. I mean, think about it, as many different programs this guy writes in a given year. Tim to be able to go ahead and just, let me come in and freelance one in front of him, go through it. And then he's constantly, while he's doing it, thinking, cool, how can I make my thing better? What can I learn from this? I mean, that's all you could ask for in someone who's writing your programs or educating you in this fun game that we call fitness. So dude, this was awesome.
It was. I have one kind of general idea, question, concept I'd love for you to just touch on. And actually, I was thinking about this question before you shared the story mid-workout about your body transformation in the past 7 months. But
somebody who would see this type of workout and I've heard this argument too. It's like, hey, such and such person, they built their physique doing squats, deadlifts, split squats, bench. They did the real hard training, and now they're doing this other thing, and they're just maintaining. This is not the program to build, mass or to build muscle. So like here, we didn't lift anything heavier than this. Is 95 pounds with the pendulum, probably only like an effective 75 pounds. Like the sled was kind of heavy, but not crazy. Like nothing was heavy about this. We weren't lifting big weights. Yep. You're kind of riding a moderate heart rate the whole time, just getting a sweat. Like, what do you say to somebody that's like, well, you can't build muscle that way?
I think the concept of actual time under tension, we count sets, we count reps, but like if you take this workout, which I would say, okay, I lapped my watch. If you get 6 rounds in, I can count the amount of seconds of time under tension I had. And it's that volume that we don't get in the traditional, I go to the YMCA or Gold's Gym by myself, nor especially in the CrossFit, HIIT functional fitness space. We don't get that duration of time under tension. And as you get older, I'm 30, gonna be 37. I mean, like my joints don't need, screen door in a hurricane. They actually, I will get hypertrophy. I will get everything I want to look better naked and feel good by just elongating the amount of time. And also taking a movement. If I constantly press like this, what happens if I pause halfway through like an elevator, stop at the second floor for 4 seconds, hit the top floor for 4 seconds, back down to the second floor, and I throw in things like that my body hasn't seen. I hate that phrase of like beginner gains, but when you haven't really done any time under tension type work, your body will hit that oh shit and adapt, and it will have to evolve to it quickly.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. And I maybe just one more thing to like tie it together in the experience that I've had in coaching this is, one of the programs that we released about 2.5, almost 3 years ago now was called Functional Body Composition. And it was our first like program that went out to the masses that was like, this is a bodybuilding slant on functional bodybuilding. Like functional bodybuilding, we're kind of leaning into the bodybuilding side. I took a lot of inspiration from Charles Poliquin's, German body composition, where it was high time under tension, resistance training, supersets, minimal rest periods, and that had a great anabolic stimulus for people. So we put that out, and one of the things that people saw, much of what you're saying is like, wow, like this is totally new, it's beginner gains, like I'm feeling like I'm getting a whole new stimulus that I've never felt before. Tempo really was like ingrained in them. And then maybe like a year later, people are like, man, it's kind of tired of counting all these reps. Like this tempo is hard to count, and what I love about today and what I try and think about when I'm writing programs is there's a place where we're going to prioritize tempo and control. And then there's a place where we're going to kind of like peel off that, the brake. Like we say, hey, just go. Just go. Push the freaking sled as hard as you can. There's no tempo there. Like get on the bike, get on the rower, get on the runner, row hard. Don't black out because you got to come back and do this over here, but like just push yourself. And then possibly, we were talking about like bridging in some, maybe some kipping mechanics or some touch and go work or something. It's like, is there a place for that to maybe mix in with tempo so that you're getting the best of both worlds and not really just like being a barrier to entry because people are like, hey, that was cool for a month, but I don't want to count tempo all day.
I don't want slow. And you gotta have a little bit of both. Yeah, because if I'm talking about tempo as being a solution for people going fast all the time, I'm just recreating the same problem if I just stay in tempo all the time. You got to go back. I always think about it as a dad, and you can relate to this. I need to be able to touch and go. I need to be able to go fast because the real scenario is I'm standing here talking to you, and then maybe my daughter's too close to the street, and I've got to move like that. Go from a dead ass sprint to go get her. Something happens,
or you're in the garage and you walk in with a freaking bunch of stuff, and you see your daughter underneath a 45-pound plate across the room, which happened to me the other day. Megs, I hope you don't hear this.
So there's a time for you to go, and time for you to go a little slow, and it's the happy medium of both. It's moderation, like anything in life.
For real. Anyhow, thank you for joining us for this tempo training workout. Make sure you catch Stu on all his channels. Where can they find you?
Just search Respect the Tempo. If you're into the fitness stuff, if you're into the gym ownership stuff, check out WTF Gym Talk. And man, this was awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. See you next time.